Bam! Let's go live. All right. Family, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast and your Mindset Monday series. So we've been off actually for a little bit. It's been a couple of weeks that Justin and I haven't been doing these. He's been traveling. I've been traveling. We did a whole number with the episodes. With the podcast studios and everything. So we're going live. We're going virtual. We're catching up to 2024, 2025 trends with technology. So old dinosaurs trying to figure shit out as we speak. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Dude, hey, what's wrong with in person, man?
Yeah, you smell weird sometimes. I don't want to tell you, but
it is what it is. You went there with it, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the plus side, we all know you're not wearing pants right now. So
who does?
All right, awesome. Let's kick it off. Fam, welcome back to the Mindset Monday series. Today, Justin and I are going to be talking about inspired patience, right? This is something that really resonates right now. I think it really hits the nail in the head. Because we tend to go super fast, and then we want all kinds of results. But the second that something distracts us, it can be somewhat difficult to get back into alignment with what we're doing, and then we stall, right? And that's exactly what happened. We got distracted by work, we got distracted by projects and other things that we were doing. And for example, like the episodes on the podcast side, right? It's one vivid example, kind of suffered or took a hit. So with that being said, the need or the feeling of being hesitant or being anxious about things not happening fast enough can be a bit scary, right? It can be a bit wary. So how do we deal with that? Right? How do we just get ourselves back in alignment with the fact that sometimes, things are going to move really, really fast. Life happens, they move slow, and then we get ready to do stuff. And we're doing stuff, but the world around us seems to be going slower. So we have this disconnect between, the speed that we're trying to engage in when we're going, all out and actually, how things are panning out. So with that being said, I want to introduce my co-host, Justin Thorstad. Justin Thorstad.
I like it, man. Well done.
That's good, right?
That was very fitting and appropriate. Thank you.
Yeah. You see how I delayed the intro until like 3 minutes into it? So it's called inspired patience. Right. So
I was patiently waiting.
All right, cool. I'm trying not to be an idiot at the openings. It's not working. But yeah, with that being said, man, I know, talking about this topic earlier, I know it's something that throws off, it throws us out of whack, right, on a regular basis. Break it down. How are you going through it, and how are you dealing with wanting to be ahead when time is just not moving fast enough for you?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's to be abundantly clear and authentic that it never does move fast enough, right? Like whenever you have an idea, a pivot in your business, a new product, service, something you're bringing to market, it all sounds good in your head and it looks good on paper. But then when you actually get into action, the unfoldment of it all usually takes like 5 times longer than you initially anticipated. Right? Because there's other people involved and dynamics and situations, and you come up against scenarios that you didn't know existed, these obstacles, because you've never done this thing before, right? So how could you possibly plan and predict accurately having never experienced this thing before? So things always take longer than necessary. But, I like what you said on the intro that, we can easily get distracted by things, especially if things aren't progressing at the pace in which we want them to. We lose interest. We're not as stimulated. So it's easy to, divert focus to something that is stimulating. But nonetheless, getting off track is a decision. Do you know what I mean? It's not like something came and stole our attention and, kidnapped it. Like we chose to pay attention to something different. But
yeah, there was either a conscious response or a unconscious reaction, right? To getting distracted. Yeah.
Yeah, it may have been unconscious, but still, it still had to be a choice. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, have this self-awareness of like, oh wait, I'm not focusing on what I said I wanted to focus on. But nonetheless, what was interesting in our conversation before we get started is that when I do get back on track, all in, ready to go, moving down the road, inevitably, I mean, if you're doing something big, there's other people involved, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just a solopreneur type venture.
Yeah.
And so when I get a clear intention, I'm all in. I've got momentum. I'm excited. I'm inspired. And then I've got to wait on somebody else to complete their end of things, a piece of the puzzle to come together. And they say it's going to be done by X date, and that keeps getting kicked down the road. Man, that just boils my blood. However, like exercising some patience and extending some grace and compassion towards those other people with boundaries, of course. You know what I mean? It's like that goes a long ways because you never know what's going on with somebody, truly. And hey, listen, I'll be the first to admit I make mistakes. I sometimes have delays. And when I do, there's probably a pretty damn good reason, right? So
Yeah.
if I want grace and compassion extended to me in those times, it's something you got to give first. So balancing that patience when you're inspired and knowing that sometimes things don't always go at the pace that you anticipated. Now, conversely, have you, Raf, like, I know the answer to this, but have you ever been going towards something and then, like in a blink of an eye, a tremendous amount of progress was made, like a quantum leap, and seemingly took no effort? So we do experience the opposite of this dynamic as well at times, right? And we don't complain about that.
Yeah.
But it's the delay that really causes us some inner tension.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned about the delays too is that they're not always bad, right? I mean, when it gets into that space of procrastination, for example, then yeah, you have a real issue. You need to stop messing around and then get into the nuts and bolts of things and get a little I don't know, get your hands dirty, right? And put in the work. We have to put in the work. Sometimes though, one thing that I've learned about inspired patience is when our mind or brain or our thought process is busy, right, with transactional stuff, with family stuff, with whatever. I mean, we have a lot of things in our mind. We're trying to be creative about something. It can be a little tough. It can be a little strenuous to force ourselves to be creative when okay, like it's not like turning on a button, right? Creativity is not like swinging a hammer. So you have to be in this space of inspiration I feel, to be truly creative. You have to, get into this I don't want to say zen, right? But you have to be at least centered and connected to what you want to create and what you want to build. So the reason I'm bringing that up, and it makes sense with inspired patience, is because I tend to get to this point in whatever it is I'm doing. If I'm playing guitar, if I'm doing anything that's creative, right? If I'm architecting a new company or whatever, if it's anything that has to do with my imagination and putting things to work and make them kind of engineering anything or manifesting something that's not there yet, I'll hit a wall. And sometimes it's like, man, I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. I don't have the idea for this. I don't have the, something's just not clicking, right? I'm not getting the answer. And I think, and I think, and I think, and you hit this state of diminishing results that really comes by and just halts you on your tracks. Right. So I feel like sometimes, perfect timing can be, right, a delay. Sometimes it can be an unintentional delay, but it's inspired. I mean, it really comes down to inspired patience. I think it's a very good way of kind of framing the topic of this podcast, because this episode, because it matters, right? So what I will do intentionally is like, hey, listen, I can't think about this anymore. Like, and when they say sleep on it, I literally, like, okay, just let your brain rest. I don't know, go do a workout, go watch a TV, something nonsense that you don't have to think about, anything, just disconnect from that train of thought and let your brain breathe. Right. And it's interesting, man, but I'll wake up, the next morning, and I'll sit in silence and just, hit meditation for a minute, and things will start coming. It's just like, the solution will roll in. And it's not because I feel, in my head, it doesn't have to be, this um you know this, I don't even know how to phrase it, but like what happens, like, when you're overloading a computer and then it just buffers forever, and then you
Yeah.
can cancel all the programs and turn the damn thing off, and then okay, it's gonna take a minute to wake up, or you can let it just run through its process, and then maybe 30 minutes 40 minutes later it's gonna like, okay, poof, it's gonna open up the spreadsheet or whatever. Right, it's the same thing. We just
Yeah.
like, if we were to turn our thing off, we'd be, I mean, we're dead. Right, we're necessarily we can take a break, we can, but it's we have to create these spaces of buffering. And I think when it comes to solutions, when it comes to getting results, I think it plays right into it on the creative side and the thinking of things, but also on the implementation side. With our teams, with the people that we work around, like, we have to give them that space as well to operate. Now, when it crosses the line to procrastination, nothing's moving, then yeah, I mean, we have to get into gear, I feel.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think I love what you said, and for myself, getting into that creative space, a lot of times I avoid it because it's like I don't have enough time to get into that state and then do something productive before I got to do my next thing, right? At least
Right.
that used to be the way that my schedule would go, and to where now I have blocks of time that they're several hours, so like there's no excuse, and I actually now look forward to those sessions, right? Because
Yeah.
that creative time, man, where the juices are flowing, you're just in that zone. Um, but I think what you were talking about, my experience of myself with that is, um, when you're thinking about a thing for just too long and you get analytical about it, that creativity, trying to solve a problem, or come up with an angle in which to market. A lot of times I'll hit a wall if I find myself like forcing it. Like I,
Yeah.
I need an answer and I want to move forward, and this is my sticking point. And so taking that break, and as you said, like with the computer, it's almost like a reboot. Let it
Yeah.
cool down, let it shut off, and start again. And I think a lot of times, well, I'll say it like this: when I take that break and I come back and like do a meditation, quiet my mind, relax it, it's almost like now you turn on the conduit and the
Yeah.
information just comes through like a download. And that's been some of the greatest ideas, greatest solutions, greatest content ever, is in those moments where it's just downloaded. It's like it's higher and better than anything I would have initially imagined or created on my own. Like how it works, I don't know. I don't understand electricity, but I know how to flip on the damn switch. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? You don't need to know how it works. You just need to know that it works.
Well, I
Like
mean, I think it comes down to intuition too, right? It,
100%.
it's it is absolutely, it's energy. It's being connected. It's being tapped into source, and on our end, right, of the the human side of things, it's, I mean, it's intuition. We call it intuition. Sometimes, like, we won't be able to listen to our gut because everything else around us is so fucking noisy. And the gut screaming at us, but it, do this is right, or we'll have that feeling and we ignore it because of all the stuff around it. I think creating that space, right, and moments for inspired, I feel, patience, I mean, they're important in all realms, because it doesn't just help us um, get clarity over the stuff that really matters. When you sit down and then you start to map out the stuff, it's crazy. When you wait 3 days, you have an issue and you wait a couple of days, um, you know, most of the, like, the bullet point things will fall off. Right. If you have like a punch list of things that you need to deal with, like, just give it a little bit of time. You don't know how that's going to pan out. But what happens is that I don't know, we like to control even how quickly we freak out about things as
Yeah, what?
entrepreneurs. Yeah. And it's like, no, this has to be resolved right now, dude. Does it matter that much? And sometimes it may, right? But if it doesn't, let it sit for a little bit. Give yourself some
Yeah.
time to process on big decisions. I don't, and this may sound a little weird, but I try not to pull the trigger on anything that's big, unless there's a time constraint or something like that. But for 3 days, I'll give myself 3 days to think about something, about a hiring, about a firing, about something that's going to move the needle in my business, about rolling out a new way of doing things, new markets, new stuff like that. um it, it's it's part of that process of, if you give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'm going to spend the first 4 sharpening the axe, right?
Yep.
So I think it falls right into it. Now, given that we have, and I'm curious to hear your side of things, but given that we have this as entrepreneurs, we're always managing, we're always controlling stuff, we're always like moving the needle, and getting, dealing. I feel like dealing with ourselves when it comes to getting antsy about getting shit done quick enough. How do you deal with delays? How do you deal with, for example, when the team is not moving forward fast enough? When we have delays in, I don't know, the suppliers, vendors,
What? That never happens, man.
partnerships. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So
what's your headspace in that type of scenario?
yeah, and listen, it's not that I never react to that, right? Because again, as I said earlier, like when I've got momentum and I've got that clear intention and I'm moving my ass down the road like hair on fire, and
Yeah.
then there's a delay and it stops my momentum, man, that triggers me for sure. However, when I have that awareness of like, wait a minute, I'm just in resistance to the situation, this obstacle that's causing a delay, and if I'm stressed and frustrated, now that state of being, like, what positive thing am I going to contribute to forward movement in that state? Like it's something on fire and I'm coming along and I'm just going to throw gas on it. Like that's not going to work. Right.
Yeah.
So it's having that awareness of like, okay, wait a minute. Let me take a step back, breathe for a minute, and then think about, okay, how can I be part of the solution here? Because if you're not part of the solution, you are the problem. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so maybe this delay is happening for me, not to me, in such a way that pivots my focus and direction so we can go a different way. It's like you've been driving and somebody kind of cut you off and they're going a lot slower than you were going. And it's like, oh man, I can get really pissed about that. Well,
Oh
what I
yeah.
experienced one time many years ago is that that happened to me. And then just seconds later in front was an accident that I definitely would have been in if I was continuing going the speed in which I was going before that person slowed me down. It's like, holy, that happened for me.
It
You know what I
really
mean?
puts things, yeah, it really puts things into context, right? Just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's power in not knowing everything too, as I feel.
Totally. And a lot of people need to see something or have evidence in order to believe in a thing. But at the end of the day, um, my truth is everything is always and only happening for my highest and best. And I
Right.
do mean everything. It may seem dark, it may seem tragic, but the gift in the whole situation will be revealed at another time. And it's not my job to know when. However, so if I got momentum, I'm moving down the road and there's a delay, there's a reason. And I just need to trust that process that's happening for my benefit. Um, may never find out what it is. I mean, it's never in the moment at least. And so just trusting the process. Besides, if you're all been out of shape, you're in resistance, really, like what good are you going to contribute to anything? And
Right.
how does that feel? Do you know what I mean? That stress, that resistance, that tension, man, that's what leads to heart attacks and strokes, and especially in entrepreneurs. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Like it's a choice to get stressed.
yeah. I think, I mean, we kind of, I feel like we always talk about the power of being proactive, right? About how we choose to feel about something, how we choose to uh, to acknowledge something, and how it presents itself in our life. Now, with that being said, it can be right, like thinking as an entrepreneur and kind of like stuck in the day to day stuff. It can be challenging to to stay centered, right? When you have
Oh
you
yeah.
know a, a I don't know, like a mishap over here and somebody else not picking up their weight over here. And we have all these, pieces that we need to manage and deal with as business owners and everything. It all starts weighing down on you. And for example, we're building marketing campaigns. We're building, a couple of other things for some of the coaching, stuff that I have going on. And I kid you not, I think we've had about 5 or 6 different delays so far. And I get stressed about it, right? But there's always this one thing that's missing, and then this other thing that's missing, and then this other thing that's missing, and then we come back and fix it, and something else happens. So it's like that. What I step back and I look at is like, all right, cool. I'm building this big engine. This big engine is going to need a lot of parts. I don't know all the parts that it needs, and that's how I kind of choose to see it, right? Because they're performing. It's just frustrating, right? Sometimes when we get to a point where, we got to move the needle faster and then faster and then faster. But I feel like
progress feels good, right?
Progress feels good, exactly. And then you have deadlines, and then you have we have all these arbitrary benchmarks that we have to meet, when at the end of the day it doesn't mean anything. When you're going to roll out when you're going to roll out something, you're going to roll out something, right? It's because you're in that space and your personal timing is right. But I feel like it's I don't know, it's pretty interesting to see the ebbs and flows, right, of the emotional cycle as we're going through all these. So when you have a hit after hit after hit, how do you mitigate that? I mean, I can understand staying cool, right, for a period of time, but then if you have, I don't know, 5 pieces missing, what's your process to dealing with that?
Forced reset, man. So, for example, renovating this house, and for X, Y, and Z reasons. But at the end of the day, like every single project, there's been massive obstacles and roadblocks, and like nothing's gone as smooth as it should. And like, it's not my first rodeo. You know what I mean? Like, I've done this before, but there's just everything. A project could be going really super smooth, and I'm just about done. All of a sudden, boom, big problem. It's like,
right.
And it's with everything. And I mean everything. And so, this is a party of one here.
So if you're listening to the podcast right now, just understand that if you're getting hit by delays, if you're getting hit by I don't know, adversity while you're going through your journey, it's not, you're not an isolated incident. It happens to everybody.
Not at all. Everybody. And when it's with other people, again, I can extend grace and compassion, because people make mistakes, and they have lives too. There's always something going on. Like, I know 2 things for sure. Water's wet, and there's always a big fucking problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, those are the absolutes in life. So, and it's like, when dealing with other people, I can have some patience, but when it's up to me and it's a tasky type thing, maybe it's just the male and driver of like, we feel productive when there's progress, when we can see a completion of a thing. And so if you start a project and it's got to stop because you have an obstacle, and it's just you. So you start another project to make some progress, and you get going, and you have to stop that one because of another obstacle. And then pretty soon you have all these undone projects, these loose ends. And I don't know about you, man, but that bothers me. Like, I want to tie up loose ends and move on. I want to move forward. And so having all those projects is just like, ugh. And so what I noticed is same thing as we talked about, taking a break, a forced reset, like go away from it, relax yourself, get back centered, present, and go at it again later. And the solution always is revealed. Now, the key for me is forcing myself to take that break, because if I get resistance, I'll push harder to make progress.
Well, that's kind of like the default, right? It's like the MO. It's shit, something's going down the drain, and it's like, let me work more. Let me make more. Exactly. More stressful activity around me to see if I can fix it. It was a very, I feel like it was a difficult learning curve for me to let go of things, even for a minute, for an afternoon sometimes, right? And it doesn't, I feel like it doesn't take much, given the amount of effort that most of us entrepreneurs put into our craft and everything that we're doing. Given that amount of effort, I mean, it's going to be easy to pick it up in a couple of hours. It's not, that issue is, I don't feel like nobody's going to die. We stop working for 2 or 3 hours, given, well, it depends on what lane of work you're in, but it's at least in ours, right? As we're going through these processes, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be delays, and coming back to an understanding of like, shit, man, I don't have the answer. I made the calls, I've had conversations, nothing rings, like nothing's clicking, nothing's making sense in my head. Like I'm at a standstill. It's stepping back a little bit, right, and creating that moment of inspired patience. I feel like that's a lot of times that's going to be the key to keep moving forward. One of the things that they used to teach us at the fire academy, I mean, the chief would repeat this every single day, right? um Fast is slow, slow is fast. I was like, fuck does he mean by that? Fast is slow, slow is fast. And like, and I never understood it. And he would tell me, just slow down, because, like, for example, we were learning knots, we're learning, the one man pack attack, and like all the SOPs, right? And the technical aspect of firefighting. And when you're in it, you're trying to like think about a bazillion times at the same time. And if you're going 1,000 miles an hour, like, it's hard to see the details, right? So it's like, dude, slow down. Like, trust me, when you slow down, you're going to be able to do things a lot faster, because you're not screwing up every half a second as you're going through the process. So I mean, that made a lot of sense. Well, it clicked back then, but it makes sense up to now, as we're going through the journey of entrepreneurship and just dealing with our minds. So
yeah, absolutely. I had a buddy when I was flipping a lot of properties, and he always said, haste makes waste. I'm like, what the hell do you mean by that? Because he's always going like a million miles a second,
Yeah.
And it's so true. Whenever you're going at too fast, let's say, and it's that tasky mode, right? Like, Forrest, I just want to check things off the box.
Yeah.
You're not connected. You're not present. Certainly not in a relationship with anybody, including yourself. And you're going so fast that you miss all the details. And it's like, if you can imagine, you're in your special car and you're doing 200 miles an hour down the freeway. Like, yeah, you may get to where you're going really fast. But the important question is, what was the quality of your experience along the way?
Yeah.
You're missing it. And perhaps it's me, the one that needed to hear all that today. Because it's one thing to know a thing, right? Cognitively.
Yeah.
It's another thing to integrate it into your beingness. More often than not, especially getting to that point where it's just natural, it's automatic. And that's still something I practice, or have to practice, I should say, because I can get in that lane of just
something
going
that you get to practice, homie.
Yeah,
big difference between having to do something.
Well, and I want to,
do something. Yeah,
it is about stopping and smelling the roses along the way, and I oftentimes forget that, and I get to practice that and remind myself, because again, you can hurry up and get to the end, but how was it?
Did you? How was the experience? That? Right, the experience getting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in this topic, you came up with this topic today, but I think you hit it right on the head of it. Right? Inspired patience is it's challenging, for people who are moving fast. I saw a couple of people jump on the live here on IG, and Zach, for example, is one of the fastest and sharpest dudes I know. He's going a bazillion miles an hour all the time. Zach, keep shout out. And it can be one of those things where, like, he, for example, thriving in that space, it's addictive. But however, sometimes we're gonna hit a wall. We're gonna hit something that's gonna call for us to, hey, listen, pump your brakes for a little bit. And I'll speak for myself on this, right? Just breathe. Go take a swim. Go do something. Go hike. Whatever, right? Like everything else that we have to do, the emails, the calls, the sales, whatever, it's still gonna be there in 2 hours. 3 hours. Just creating some space, right, for that perfect timing to click, and that inspired patience to roll in, I feel is important. So yeah, nice. I like it, man. I like it. So, dude, this is a little different for us. Like we mentioned earlier, just because it's virtual. I don't have you. I'm not hanging out with you and like next to you right now, but it still works. So we're gonna be doing these on Mondays at 1 p.m. or what, 12:30? Yeah, 12:30 p.m. Mindset Mondays.
Probably live by 1.
Yeah, we'll probably be. Yeah, exactly. We're Mexican timing, so it's. Yeah. All right.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah, exactly. So but yeah, man, it's it's just important. Going forward, like this week, I feel like I think it's more important than anything else, really, because I have a lot of things that I need to push. And honestly, I've been stressed, like over the last, I want to say, maybe month. I've been stressed. It just overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff. Fine tuning things in the operation, then growing the education business, and doing working on a couple of different projects that are bigger, and then finishing off some other projects and stuff like that. There's been a lot of stuff on my plate, and timing always becomes one of those things. So creating that awareness for inspired patients is a big thing for me, especially going forward. I'm telling you, man, every time we sit down and talk, I feel like these conversations help me more than than anybody else.
Well,
So it's a very
100%.
self-serving a series for me.
It is. That's the best kept secret about coaching, is that
Right.
you're also reminding yourself of things that that and we could all use reminders. It's
We
you
gotta we
learn
gotta
something
hold
new,
space.
and yeah, man, you got to rewire, like refire and rewire that those neural pathways to make it automatic. And yeah, it's like that to-do list, man. It never all gets done. That I know for sure. Yet most times I can find myself still pushing, forcing to get as much done as possible. And yeah, I may check off a lot of boxes, but the entire project's not getting done today. And
Right.
if you're up to
Well,
something big, you know what I mean? Like I'm working on something right now to really revolutionize the real estate industry. And there's so many pieces to that. And I don't know all the things yet still to unfold that I'm going to require and how it's all going to look. I got a clear intention of the end result, and don't know how to quit. So we're going, but a lot of people involved in that, and a lot of moving parts. And if we're going too fast and we're pushing too hard, like you're going to get there eventually, right? Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn once in a while. But again, like, did you enjoy the process of building it and creating it and bringing it to
right.
life? So there's that into things as well. And if you think it's just you that's going to force it out, man, that's a lonely way of existing, because there's so many beautiful people and opportunities surrounding us if we just take the time to be present and work with others instead of this need to force it all out, grind it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Again, if you're listening to the podcast and you're kind of on the same track, going through a mindset and the entire process, I feel like, of understanding yourself, because it's one of the biggest challenges, really. We try to dominate SOPs and systems and processes and all kinds of stuff outside of us, and we leave ourselves like towards the very end, like, oh, I'll figure out how to deal with my emotions, how to deal with my mindset, how to deal with my weaknesses, and just kind of over rely on whatever strengths we have and whatnot, right? So I feel like getting to that point where we understand ourselves is key, but again, nothing comes into place if we don't have that space for ourselves in the first time. So consider inspired
100%.
patience where you're getting delayed, where you're getting frustrated by things that are maybe, I don't know, maybe something is telling you that listen, you need to pump your brakes for a little bit. This might be a little bit outside your
Yep.
control. Go take a breath and then come back and re-engineer, recircuit, and re-execute, right? So
100%.
that being said,
Well, my final thought on that,
yeah,
the thing I love about being an entrepreneur and in business is it really is a spiritual game.
yeah,
I mean, the more self-aware you are, the more tapped in, tuned in you are, the funner it becomes, and those quantum leaps occur seemingly with no effort, and the relationships along the way. If you want bigger, better, different results, you got to be bigger, better, different. And how are you going to do that if you don't create that time and space to sit with self and listen instead of talking all the damn time? Quiet that inner roommate and connect. So
I like it. Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
yeah, the Instagram, obviously, YouTube, my cell phone, 602-348.
Did you just say the Instagram?
The little
The
thingy at the
Instagram?
bottom,
Yeah. Okay. I'm just
the
verifying.
IG, yeah, right there.
All right. Sorry, what was that? And you dropping your number?
Yes, myself. Thanks for interrupting, Raph. 602 348-8534.
All right, awesome. Fam, do us a favor. If you like the podcast, if you like the stuff that we're putting together for you on a regular basis, do us a favor, subscribe, like, and share. Hit us up. Make sure that you go to my channel, Rafael Cortez CEO on YouTube. Follow me as well on social media at Rafael Cortez CEO. Drop a DM. We're pretty active. This is a two-way street. It's a two-way conversation. So if there's topics or anything that you want to talk about in terms of mindset, let us know. We'd be happy to roll into it and maybe perhaps have you on the show. So until next time, stay focused. You got this. Boom. Let's go.